Welcome to the Flow Summit, where I'm going to give you some brain hacks of how to create a flow state. It will take practice, but it will be additional to all the practices that you may already be using, but you may not have known about how to utilize your brain in a specific state that hasn't been talked much about in all of the meditation training material that is commonly out. Now, what is a flow state? It is the state in which we are so absorbed and so singular-mindedly focused, getting absorbed in a piece of artwork, getting absorbed in any activity that draws our attention into a singular focus to where we then lose the sense of time, space, and the separation and the work that we think it normally takes to get something done. But we get elevated to a higher state. Now, why is that? Let me break it down to you in two easier to understand concepts. The one concept that you've already probably heard about is the discussion in the scientific community, in the quantum theorists community, about particle and wave. Particle and waves are the yin-yang aspect of duality. You know, they couldn't for the longest time and still haven't decided whether light, a photon, is a particle or a wave. And I will tell you in a moment what that has to do with you being able to enter into a flow state more easily. So when a thing is considered a particle, it is harder, has a defined form. It's like a billiard ball that you push and shove and you create predictable outcomes. Now, when we as humans know ourselves to become a little denser, tighter, we think of ourselves as becoming defined, having an ego, a structure, which is important to have at times. But other moments, we wish to become more permeable, more of a flow state person, more of a wave type energy. And when light is measured not as a particle where it hits the object, but rather behaves as a wave, it seems to be simultaneously entering into a field behavior. You and I can do the same thing. We simply have to shift our attention away from the focusedness on form, our ego, our what defines and separates us, to a way of perceiving the field and becoming energetic wave forms. And I will give you two techniques in which that is achievable in a more easy to do manner. How do we shift? Let's do it right now. One easy way to shift into a wave type focus, away from this particle focused. First, let's take a look at something you can look around you. Look at the things that surround you, your body, the who you are, the thoughts you might have about yourself. I am this age, I'm 63, I am a vegetarian, I do yoga, I don't drink alcohol, I like this, I think like this. That's my definition of who I am. Now, you may have a different definition, you may have a different sense, but I am kind, I'm thoughtful, I have these principles, whatever comes to your mind. Now, let's both enter into a wave type state of consciousness by focusing on opening your heart, let's say, opening the energy body, opening a chakra of yours, of your choice, but the heart is the easiest. And think of something or look at something that is beautiful around you. I look around, I see some flowers, some orchids. I am here in Bali with you, where we have the Shambhala Retreat Center, and I look at the sunshine. And you take something that you can look at around in your area, in wherever you're sitting or laying, and let your eyes glance on something that is beautiful. Pick a focus and go, that color is beautiful, that sunlight, or maybe even something that happened today. And just dwell on that thought for a moment. The gratitude maybe that you feel with it. Now it activates our feeling body. And our feeling body occupies our energetic body, which is more palpable outside of ourselves and can be measured through electromagnetic measuring devices. The output, the auric output, can be measured and can show people where we have strength and weaknesses when they have the measuring devices. The aura photography can do that. It's radioactive permeation of your body. Now let's go a little bit further and just sense as if you could ride a wave or feel the auric field, the bubble that you are in, the sphere, as if everything were liquid presence. Opening maybe your dantian, your stomach, your solar plexus, to sense that field. We're all equipped with the sensing faculty that feels the field, additional to the capacity of our mind to focus on a detail. Now, when we start becoming more aware of multiple things simultaneously, we become wave-like, like the photon and the wave aspect, the particle and the wave aspect of a photon. We can start sensing now, you can start emanating further into another place, dimension, time, space, and other aspects of your presence. What I'd like you to do with me right now is pump presence into your cocoon as if you could illuminate your cocoon. Go with me. Can you intentionally activate your presence? Maybe even feel your energy trickling and prickling through the back part of your spine, surrounding you, emanating out of your hands. Now, that's one way of entering a wave state. Now, allow me to show you a second way of activating that wave state. I'd like you to listen to me while you are pumping your presence, which you can extend as far out as you feel comfortable. Some people feel comfortable this far. Some people just rather think of themselves as big as a galactic being. But whatever you can fill, be that. So you're entering in your consciousness a perception that requires that you step outside of the detailed, focused mind attention. Now, I will show you how you can bridge this into manifesting better and creating your visions more efficiently in the next step, which now requires a little bit of explanation about the function of our brainwave states. We're accustomed to hearing about lowering our brainwaves into the alpha brainwave state and theta brainwave state until we go into sleep in delta. Let me give you a chart here and show you. We normally look at the chart like this. We have a beta brainwave state, which is between 14 and 20 hertz, or in that range approximately, which represents our daytime consciousness. Then we have the daydreaming consciousness, which is between 8 hertz and 12 hertz. It happens to also be the brainwave frequency of the Earth. Schumann measured it at 7.83 hertz and said that is the pulse the Earth moves with. I will give you a secret about how the CIA hacked the Earth brainwave in order to gain access to higher states of intuition in a moment. Stay with me as we describe the brainwave states a little bit further. It is measured through EEG devices that measure the electromagnetic frequency output of the brain. Now, the below alpha and getting lower is the next level is called theta, between 4 and 8 hertz cycles per second, and where your brain makes in that range, the brainwave frequencies, which happens to be deep relaxation, deeper than reverie and imagination, entering into a dreamlike state. Maybe as you're listening to me, you might already feel a sense of entering that comfortable state of deep, gentle relaxation. Below that, we have the delta state between 1 hertz, 1 cycle, and 4 cycles per second, which is our deep sleep state, dreamless, deep rest. Now, what most meditation teachers do not talk about and do not practice is because it is rather challenging and difficult, and where the flow state comes in is that we have another brainwave state which is beyond the beta brainwave state called the gamma brainwave frequency, which is 24 hertz and up, oftentimes measured around 44 hertz, but even as high, and depending on the meditator and the trainedness, into the hundreds of hertz. Now, what happens when we go into the frequencies that go really high up? Let me liken it to a sunbeam that comes from the sun through the air into the ocean. Very deep down, close to the bottom of the ocean, you have very few photons hitting those regions. It's dark. It's like that deep slumber state. Very little activity. As you raise your attention to the uh, higher levels of the ocean, the surface level, and then go up, you'll see like a gradual increase of photons. And if you put a microphone to it, it would go from and there is where you may have heard of the God frequency. Maybe in your meditations, you have experienced, and that's where I guide people into, even to create their best soulmate experience. It's the highest form of Tantra because it's the union of soul that starts to happen there. And when you are able to reach those high states, which I'll explain to you in a moment how to get there, your power of manifestation will increase by magnitudes of tens, by hundreds. Because even though we hear from the Silva mind control method that deep, slow brainwave states are very effective, and remember, I will tell you how the CIA has made use of that to improve the power of their intuition. The very high frequencies, the gamma frequencies, are the brain hack I am talking to you about today to increase the flow state. And you can listen to this talk a number of times in order to get the details. I will also give you some links below to exercise and experiment with. But one of the guided meditations that can take you there is imagining, which is what a lot of the Buddhist teachings, especially the Buddhist mental tantra teachings, do. They imagine a deity with whom they engage themselves that by nature and vibrates extraordinarily beautifully with full of the highest virtues and luminosity. So they imagine sitting with that deity and then raising themselves to that state. And here is where raising comes into a higher art form. You do not touch the best by putting body to body. The merging of soul is the only place where you can transcend duality, because that part of our soul sits at a different dimension which is beyond time and space. That is where gamma frequencies can help you enter that portal. So, how do you get there? You can imagine, and this may take some time to practice, but an easy way to imagine is to go into stillness, breathe the yogic breath in, holding your breath, coming, breathing out, holding your breath, breathing back in, holding your breath, breathing back out. Do that for a while, and your brainwave states will slow down. Then you take your attention and you put it to the center of your third eye, or then in your crown chakra and above your crown chakra. Continuously refining your presence into your third eye, spinning your chakra, then next spinning your crown chakra, and then jumping to another octave beyond what we would call time, space, location. The chakras, the 7 chakras we're used to, ordinarily occupy time, space the way we think of time, space. Even the crystalline worlds of our consciousness have duration. But then, when you take your thought, your energy, your focus, your chi body, and start rising on what I would say is the upward return path to the source, like the elevator that incarnates back up and becomes a whole. And I truly am a firm believer that manifestation is here to be celebrated because it's God's expression, but it thrives on us doing the return journey in our consciousness. Start assembling your point of reference and your point of supra consciousness in a point beyond and above where you ordinarily consider time, space, and your seat of your emotions or mind to be. So let's move together to a more refined space, as if you could take a journey, take all that chi you felt before that helped you to sense the outer world and move it inward in a fine stream and raise it up. You may simultaneously feel the activation of all of your chakras, depending on how well you've trained yourself, and raise it to an octave. I'm going to scoot down here from one to an octave that is maybe a foot above your head imaginarily. You can also place it outside of the universe, outside of time space. I normally end, I'm going to gift you with a guided meditation that guides you there using meditation where the ascension is practiced with another being and where you refine your focus first into your own seat of your soul. So go with me and pretend you could ignite a solar star, a star diamond above your head in singularity. I will do it with you right now. And as you come along and we start refining our presence, there is a moment where we go like ding, 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 ding. I think I sense you at that moment that exists in that space that is no space, no time. That is a presence. What your brain is doing at the same time, with gamma frequencies, you can have your eyes wide open. With alpha, we have found when you open your eyes, people, untrained people, most of the time go and drop back or rise back up to beta. But with gamma frequencies, you can have your eyes wide open and increase the brainwave activity with your imagination of rising to another fine point in intensity. Your inner sound will sound like psst. Intensify your presence, and your brain will start overarching between the right brain and the left brain hemisphere, between the limbic brain and the frontal lobes, and start overarching something that has been associated with the flow state. It's the gamma brainwave frequencies. The practice is that you learn to differentiate all the different states and come into a singularity point where you go poof. And the easiest way of doing that is, as I mentioned, and I will give you an exercise to do where you imagine another ascended being, master being, deity, even a beloved, and allow yourselves each to find that seat of your soul and then come into proximity, come ever closer. Start pinging each other at that level so that eventually what happens is that your combined presence becomes the portal into a yet greater beyond time space, opening, oftentimes associated with the feeling of coming home, of going truly beyond the sense of separation and beyond the sense of I am this and you are that. It's like we are one. And the states continue to refine as you go through decades of training with your awareness. Now, the brain hack I'm talking about is twofold. One is becoming aware of energetic presence, of feeling into the field. If you are in traffic, you can feel the beauty of the world around you. It changes your attention into the periphery rather than just the focal point. When driving, maybe you may want to focus on the focal point. But a lot of people go into alpha brainwave states while driving and start perceiving the field and act within the whole waveform of humanity. Now, I promised you I would share with you how the CIA was trained to use certain brainwave states and the Earth's magnetic brainwave state of the alpha or Schumann frequency to improve their accuracy of intuition. And you can do that too. However, my favorite way is learning the Earth deep alpha brainwave state is around 8 hertz. That's the lower end of alpha, which is not dreaming, not sleeping, but actively envisioning. And that is where your manifestation can amplify. You can utilize, and this is what the CIA did. Dr. Bob Beck, a friend of ours, had been developing a brainwave, actually a biofeedback device, to enhance people to entrain their brainwave states to specific points. And he had discovered if people tuned in their brainwaves to 7.8 hertz, the Schumann frequency, they suddenly had the power of the magnetic field structure of the Earth and the ability to look across the horizon, so to speak, at their fingertips. That means when you go into meditation and into a deeper reverie and start focusing on a goal that you wish to achieve, you can feel, enter the movie, enter the sensation, enter the glory of your fulfillment, and ask yourself, which I talked about in my TEDx talk, the two questions that can help you create a brighter future is, what do I really want in the end? What is it that I really want? When having a car to manifest, what do I really want? The feeling of freedom, the sensation of whatever that is for you. See, we are after feeling states and inner experiences that we think outer experiences bring to us. So, when in the Living from Vision course, we teach people how to lower their brainwave states into the alpha brainwave state and then pre envision what they want to experience. So, the CIA was trained then and hired by the CIA. Bob Beck was hired out and said not to sell this device to anybody else, to entrain their people in the ability to hit the specific Schumann frequency with precision. And when they did, they were able to read documents at a distance. They were able to do drawings of designs at a distance. They could hack a lot of knowledge without physically going there. Yes, that's what the government likes to spend their money on when nobody's looking. And they, of course, try to suppress that kind of information in the public eye. Naturally. So not all of us know about it. Bob Beck was requested not to sell those devices or make them for anybody else but them. And on a side note, I want to share with you an anecdotal story Bob Beck used to share and chide us for when my husband and I, back when we were in the young days and we were in our 20s and kids, would eat at a restaurant and have a salad sauce. And he said, don't eat that sauce. It has garlic in it. And he told us the story of how when the CIA people were trained in doing precision work with their brainwave states in the alpha brainwave Schumann frequency, when they ate garlic, they could no longer precisely access that state. They had no further total control over the brainwave states, which is why many monasteries in India do not use any onions, garlic, or leek. They all belong to that family, but garlic especially. And the Italians, what they eat when they don't want to see ghosts? A clove of garlic, because it shuts down the perception. So if you want to train yours, refrain from the garlic. All right, so that's one of the anecdotes I wanted to share with you. But additionally to manifesting in the alpha brainwave frequency, if you learn to access the gamma brainwave frequency, you can be with your eyes wide open and meet another being in the room while they're having dinner with you, and you can have a conversation, not a conversation, an illuminated presence of divinity with each other as you each raise to a higher pinnacle point that then reaches outside of the confines of time space. And though the information can flow to you at an alpha level, at an intuitive level, and training your imagination, dialoguing with your emotions at that level, for which I've written a children's book, and children can do it at ease. You can train your brainwave states to coalesce into a singularity at a higher point in your consciousness and create with increasing. I mean, you can actually buy devices to train yourself to reach higher states of gamma frequencies. And that is what they discovered when they measured the brainwave frequencies of well-trained monks. Tibetan monks had high capacities of generating gamma frequencies, and they have access to knowledge that goes beyond the normal alpha brainwave states. There are the trainings for, and they call it the large boat, that many people can learn, and lower brainwave entrainment is certainly something we are now learning to do, especially in our rapid fire left brain focused world. Introducing our right brain and becoming whole brain with our limbic brain is definitely the step we need to do as humanity. But then you and I, we can become heightened flow state people by focusing in dimensions that access time space from a vantage point which has an umbrella into a much larger space. And that gives you the capacity of being in a flow state, even at the fingertips of command of your mind, of saying, I wish to go into gamma brainwave frequencies. You can do it, eyes open, go into those states. And whatever you start focusing on will naturally bring to you all the resources because you are operating from the origin of your consciousness and not divesting your attention into the periphery of who you are. You're going to the source and unite yourself with the origin of all that is. When you operate from that state that comes from the source into time space, you walk amongst the order of a higher order of beings here on earth. And that is what I'd like to invite you in. And I will give you a link below where you can practice with another deity of your choice the ascension into a higher state of consciousness. And join me on my Living from Vision Academy online school to train your mind or follow whatever trainings you are already doing. And there are many paths to Rome. So I encourage you to do all of them, whether it's Tai Chi, Qigong, it's yoga, whatever you know to do, or a mixture of them. Do everything because it's not just one thing. It is learning to become a wave type being and to incorporate everything with precision at a broader level of understanding your humanity and developing the compassion, because that is in our heart, mind, and spirit. If we feel the wholeness, which is what the CIA people discovered, when they discovered that they were one with a distant object, they quit the job. They said, I can no longer fight against that other because I am part of the field that is both sides. So let's become the harbinger of light, of unity consciousness, and a great growing body of humans here on this earth that can walk around with eyes wide open in a supra state of consciousness. Thank you for listening, and I wish you all the best in practicing heightened states of your flow awareness. Namaste.